Very good morning, students. Hope you all will be good at home. So, today we are going to see Unit 1, the fundamentals of business. So, totally we have 10 units, that means chapter 3. That means we have 33 chapters in this. Today we are going to see Unit 1, that is the fundamentals of business. So, under this, we are going to see the historical background of commerce in the subcontinent. So what do you mean by commerce and what is the historical background of it? That only we are going to see today. So in this we are going to see the introduction of it and what do you mean by barter system and hindrance of commerce and what are the eliminations of hindrance of business. So barter system. What do you mean by barter system? Have you heard this name before? Okay, let us see what is it now. Barter system means one person. That means if a person A is giving wheat, is having wheat, and person B is having milk. So what A will do is he will give wheat to the person B who is having milk, and the person who is having milk, no, he will give milk to the person who wants it. So the exchange of goods, note it, the exchange of goods for goods is known as barter system. There will not be no measurement in it. They will give, if I have 2 bags of rice and if you have 2 bags of wheat, will be exchanging those goods. So that term is called as barter system. Let us see in detail what is mean by barter system. Goods were exchanged for goods prior to invention of money. So before the invention of money, what people have done is they doesn't have money, so instead of money they used goods. So they'll give the goods and they'll get another one goods. So for example, there are 2 persons A and B. The person A is having salt and the person B is having sugar. Now both the person wants should coincide each other. So both the person's wants have to be satisfied. So here A should be in need of sugar and B should be in need of salt. The growth of civilization witnessed the rise and the fall of many dynasties. Course of commerce activities continued. So what does it mean? The growth of civilization means the civilization, the development in the civilization and the rise in the dynasties, the activities of the commerce also continued. So basically the founder of trade and commerce is Tamil Nadu. The whole of commerce activity emerged from barter system into multi-dimensional systems like monetary system, mail order business, hire purchase system, installment purchase system, and so on. So monetary system means the transactions which is done by money, and mail order business means some persons will do mail, no, I want this much of goods, like that they'll do mail. So that is the mail order business. And the hire purchase means I'll get the goods before itself and later on I'll pay the payment. Installment purchase system and so on. Installment purchase means we all know it, I'll buy the goods before itself and I'll pay for it monthly wise. So that term is called as installment purchase system. So technology driven society cashless system through e-commerce. Let us see historical background of commerce in the country. So we need to know what is the background of commerce in our country now. So let us see what is it. Trading population of India was Indus Valley people who used the word trade. So note it down. The word trade is first used by the Indus Valley people. So Vaniyam or Vanibam, Dravidan origin. So origin of Dravidan is Vaniyam or Vanibam. So in news also we used to see, Vaniga Chedigal. So like that, this Vaniyam or Vanibam. The word Vanigam, what does it mean? It has widely used in Sangam literature. So that Vanigam, Vyabaram. So that word is widely used in Sangam literature like Purananuru and Tirukkural. So you all know Purananuru and Tirukkural, no? So in that only, the Sangam, Vanigam word has been literally used. The Tamil Brahmic inscriptions from Alagarmalai, Pugalur, Mangulam and Sri Lanka illustrate the fact that trade in gold, oil, cloth, etc. was conducted during the early age. So here only these things were have done. The trade, let us see the trade and traders in Pandya dynasty. What do you mean by trade and what do you mean by the traders? So let us see. The trade and commerce was so common to Pandya dynasty. So Pandyan dynasty, the trade and commerce was very, very common. So information collected from the diaries of foreign travelers, voyagers, mariners and adventurers of ancient world highlighted the prosperity of trade in the Pandya country. So what highlighted the Pandya country means they collected the information. The Pandya dynasty, they collected the information from the diaries of foreign travelers, voyagers, mariners, and adventures of the ancient world. So the Hebrew and Latin literature, archaeological remains in Aden, Alexandria, Java, Sumatra and even China add support to the fact of existence of trade network in Pandya country. So the trade in copper, cloth, salt, flour, sandalwood, fish, paddy, cereals, pearls, etc. flourished during their period. So these things like copper, cloth, salt, flour, sandalwood, fish, paddy, these things were familiar during their period or famous during their period. Next, let us see what do you mean by Angadi. Have you heard this name before? Yes, you might have heard this name, Angadi. Recently we have got a movie, Angadi Thiru. Yes, that word, Angadi. The place where the goods were sold are called Angadi in their period. In that Pandya dynasty period, the word Angadi was used. So, what does it mean? The place where the goods are sold is known as Angadi. So, the day market is called as Nalangadi and the night market is called as Alangadi. So, according to the same poet Ilango in Silapadigaram, Madurai Kanji, he described Madurai as Iruperu Nemer, meaning the sleepless city, Tunga Nagaram. They'll say, Madurai as Tunga Nagaram. So due to round clock of the business activities there, the business activities will be going on. So even the night time also, the people used to continue the business without sleeping. So that it is called as sleepless city. So let us see the coastal trade in ancient Tamil Nadu. So big cities like Bumbuhar, have you heard before? Yeah, somebody might have seen that place also, visited that place also. So big cities like Bumbuhar had a Marurapakam inland town and Pattinapakkam coastal town had market and bazaars. So in Bumbuhar, lot of markets and bazaars were there. So port towns like Tondi, Korkai, Puha and Mussoorie were always seen as, though these markets were very, very busy marts and markets with activities related to imports and exports. So the people, those who want to export or import, they'll be doing the business activities there. And people in the coastal region, they were engaged themselves in the coastal trade and developed their intercontinental trade contacts also. So boats like Padagu, Timil, Toni, Ambu, Odampunai, etc. were used to cross the rivers for domestic trade, while Kalam, Marakalam, Vangam, Navai, etc. were used for crossing the oceans for foreign trade. So for foreign trade, they used these things as boats, like for crossing the rivers. So what are the roles of the government during this ancient Tamil Nadu? Let us see what are the roles are there. The roles of state in trade related to two aspects, namely adequate infrastructure to sustain the trade and administrate taxation. The state protected the merchant caravans on these trade routes from robbers and wildlife. So the government protected the traders from robberies, like the people used to while crossing the roads, the robbers may make what they may make a block and they can get the things. No, so for that and all, what they have done is they have protected, they have given a protection. So main roads known as Peruvali were built for surface transportation, expanded infrastructure for shipping also. Kaveripattinam was the chief port of the kingdom of Cholas, while Nagapattinam, Marakanam, Arikamedo, etc. were other small ports on east coast. See, what they've done is they need to develop the traders and imports and exports. No, so what the government has done, the government had done is they have given protection for the traders, and they have elaborated the what they were expanded the infrastructure. They have given transport surfaces. Similarly, Pandyas developed Korkai, Seliyur, Kayal, Marungayur, Pattinam, and Kumari for foreign trade. So they have used these places for foreign trades. The state governments installed checkposts to collect customs along the highways and the ports. So what the state government had done is they have installed a checkpost. So we used to see, while moving from one state to another state, we will be having checkpost. So like that, they in the highways they have they need to collect some money, so that they have fixed some checkpost. Let us see the contribution of Kautilya to trade. And the next topic is contribution of Kautilya to trade. So Kautilya Ashtrashastra describes an economy in Mauryan time. So in Mauryan time, Kautilya described the economy. So this brought our history of marketing practice some 2000 years ago. So according to Kautilya, trade in medieval India was centralized. Since the commodities produced could not be sold in the location of production, the state designated certain places for selling the commodities. So it levied some duties, it collected some amount for taking the goods into the city. So payment should be made for the goods. So Kautilya gave importance for the state relation to treasury, taxation, industries, commerce, agriculture, and conservation of natural resources. So next we are move on to the commerce and trade in North India. So Balban was the first sultan who paved the way in the dense forest and helped the traders to move from one marketplace to another marketplace. The importance of trade centers were, so what are the importance of trade centers in North India? That is Delhi, Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Sonagud, Janpur, and Lahore. So India's handcrafts commanded a good foreign market. India imported horses, dry fruit, precious stones, glassware, raw silk, coals from Kabul, Arabia, Europe, West Africa, Malaysia, China, and some other countries. Then the trade with Rome, China, and Europe. Let us see what is there. So the Roman Greek traders, no, they frequented the ancient Tamil country and forged the trade relationship with ancient kings of Pandya, Chola and Chera dynasties. So Chola, no, they had a strong trading relationship with Chinese Song dynasty. The Cholas conquered Srivijaya Empire of Indonesia and Malaysia to secure a sea trading route to China. So they need a sea route so that they conquered it. So during the 16th and 18th centuries, the India overseas 17th centuries overseas the trade expanded during the trade with European companies. Okay, then the textiles and shipping building earned name and fame in the 17th and 18th centuries. Between early 1600 and mid of 19th century, the British East India Company led establishment and expansion of foreign trade all over the Asia. So although initially the interest of East India Company was aimed at reaping the profit, so they need the profit alone. So they are single-minded, only is focused on establishing their trade and monopoly throughout the ancient Pacific, made heralding an agent of British colonial imperialism. So next let us see the barter system. So barter system is what? Yes, it is the goods were exchanged for goods prior to the invention of money. So barter system worked on certain conditions. So that is, so each party to barter must have surplus stocks for trade to take place. Okay, the each party to barter must have surplus stock for trade to take place. If I am having surplus of goods, then only I can do this activity. So both the buyers and sellers should require goods each other separately. That is double coincidence of wants. So my want is wheat and your want is salt. That to be double coincidence of each other. So buyer and seller should meet personally to effect the exchange. So we need to personally we need to effect that exchange. And next let us see the constraints in the barter system. What are the constraints? The barter system envisages mutual exchange of one's good to another without the invention of money as a medium of exchange. So there will not be money, only the thing only will be having is the goods. The barter system have many difficulties as follows. Let us see what all the difficulties are there in the barter system. The first one is lack of double coincidence of wants. So lack of double coincidence of wants, and another one is non-existence of common measure of value and lack of direct contact between the producer and the consumer, and another one is the lack of surplus stock. So first let us see what is lack of double coincidence of wants. Lack of double coincidence of wants, that is, unless, see in the picture they have given, I want rice, but the opposite party who is having banana, I have banana to exchange with apple. I want rice, I am asking rice, but they are giving banana. So unless two persons who have surplus the demand for the goods possessed by each other, barter system could not materialize. Yes, for instance, A is having a surplus of groundnut and B is possessing rice in surplus. So in such case, A should be in need of rice possessed by B, as later should desperately need groundnut possessed by A. If this coincidence of wants does not exist, the barter system cannot take place. Yes, because I want something and you are giving another thing, means how that want will be satisfied. Okay, so next one is non-existence of common measure of value. Non-existence of common measure of value. Yeah. Barter system could not determine the value of commodities to be exchanged as they lacked commonly acceptable measures to evaluate each and every commodity. It was difficult to compare the values of all the articles in the absence of acceptable medium of exchange. And next one is the lack of direct contact between the producer and the consumer. Yeah, it was not possible for the buyers and sellers to meet face to face in many contexts for exchanging the commodities for commodities. So this hindered the process of barter in all practical senses. And another one is lack of surplus stock. So lack of surplus stock means in the absence of stock was one of the implements in the barter system. If a buyer and sellers do not have surplus, then how the barter system will be possible? It is not possible, no? So there should be some surplus in the goods so that they can able to do the barter. And next one is the invention of money. So what is money? The money is used as a medium of exchange. Yes, let us see what is it. By invention of money as a medium of exchange, there are other hindrances in the smooth exchange of goods from place of production to the place of consumption, like place, time, risk, knowledge and finance. So what are the hindrances of commerce? So production of goods and services for the satisfaction of human wants is the main objectives of the industry. So reaching those goods and services to the people for where these are produced is objective of commerce. Commerce serves as a valuable link between, yes, commerce was one of the valuable link between the producer and the consumer. So it rendered the variety of services to ensure the passage of goods and services between two is completed without any let and hindrance. So accordingly, the commerce may be defined the organized. See, this is the definition for the commerce. Commerce may be defined as the organized system for the exchange of goods and services between members of industrial body. So it comprises all the forms of trade, wholesale, retail, import, export and entrepreneurial services which aid and assist the trading activities such as banking, transport, warehousing, insurance and advertising. So let us see the eliminations of hindrances of business. So hindrance of a place, hindrance of a contact, hindrance of time, hindrance of risk, hindrance of finance, hindrance of informations. So it is removed by the transportation, communication, warehousing, insurance, banking and finance and advertising. So business consists of all the industries and commerce. It serves to remove the several hindrances and solve many problems while facilitating the production and distribution of goods. The various hindrances removed by business are as follows. Let us see what are the hindrances first. Hindrances of a person, hindrances of a place, risk of deterioration in quality, risk of loss, risk of knowledge, exchange, finance, developing the exact product, hindrance of both selection and delivery at doorsteps. Hindrance of a person. So let us see the hindrance of a person. So manufacturers, they do not have a place and face of the consumer. They doesn't know. They just manufacture the products alone. Okay, so it is the retailer who knows. Yes, the retailer, retailer, yeah, they only knows. Sorry, some problem over here. The retailer only knows the taste and preference and location of the consumer. Yeah, being a manufacturer, the person one who is manufacturing any product, they doesn't know anything about the consumer That means the place where it is going to be manufactured and to whom it is going to be manufactured, that and all manufacturer doesn't know. The person only who knows it is the retailer. Yes, the retailer only knows it. And the chain, the person who is acting between them is the middleman. That person is called as middleman. Yes, the chain of middlemen consisting of wholesalers, agents and the retailers establishes the link between the producers and the consumers. Yes, the next we'll see on the hindrances of a place. Production takes place in one center and consumers are spread throughout the countries in the world. Yeah, here they will be manufacturing some products and it will be it will be available in all over the world. So how it is available in all over the world? Yeah, with the help of rail, air, sea and land transports bring the products to the place of the consumers. Yes. Next we'll move on to the hindrance of time. So consumer wants the products whenever they have money. Yeah. If I have money now, right now I want some apple to eat. Okay. So I want it right now. So that is the time of it. So time and willingness to buy. So goods are produced in anticipation of such demands. Yeah, note it down. Demands means, you know already now, if the demand arises, what will happen? The price of the product will increases. So they are stored in the warehouses. Warehouse means a place where the goods are stored. That place is called as warehouses in different regional centers so that they can be distributed at right time to the consumers. So next we'll see the hindrance of risk of deteriorations in quality. So proper packaging and modern air conditioner storage houses ensure that there is no deterioration in quality of a products. Goods are protected against insects, rats and evaporation. Yeah. If the goods are packed in well manner, so there will not be any damages in it and we don't need to bother about the insects or rats or the some other damages due to cost from some other things. Next one is hindrances of risk of loss. So loss means it can be theft, fire, flood and accidents may bring huge loss to the business. So insurance companies serve to cover the risk of such losses. Next one is hindrance of knowledge. So hindrance of knowledge means the advertising and the communications helps in announcing the arrival of new products. Yes, how we'll be able to know a new product is coming to the market? That only term is we will see the advertisement or some other communications will make us to know the arrival of a new products in the market and the uses of it to the people. Next one is hindrances of exchange. Yes, hindrances of exchange means the money functions as a medium of exchange and enable the buying and selling of a product and services by payment of right price. Yeah, if the product is worth of 50 rupees, we will buy it. Yes, if it is not worth of it, we will not buy it. So that is the meaning of it. And next one is a hindrance of finance. Yeah, producers and the traders may not have required funds. Yeah, if I am a producer, I am going on producing some products, where I will get money, what I will do, I will get loans from banks. Yes, funds from banks or some other financial institutions will help me to develop my what? Develop my business. So in order to run my business smoothly, the financial institutions will help me for producing or manufacturing or doing trading for everything. What I need money. So that is the hindrance of finance. Next one is hindrance of developing the exact product. So research and development helps in developing the exact product or services which can satisfy the specific wants of the consumers, and thus it improves the standard of living of the people. Yeah. So it helps to generate the ideas, it will create the new ideas according to the wish of the people, according to the wish of the consumer, according to the to satisfy the needs of the consumer. The research and development process will move on. And next one is the hindrances of both selection and delivery at doorsteps. Yes, so nowadays what we people are doing, we are staying at home, and what we are doing, we are searching for things in online. Yeah, we no need to move out, and the things whatever we want, it will come to our doorstep. So these are the hindrances of commerce. So let us see the objectives of business in the next class. I hope you all understand